Brooklyn, June 1953. The heat isn't just temperature, it's a physical weight. The air is thick, smelling of roasted coffee, exhaust fumes, and the damp, metallic tang of the East River. It is a summer that clings to your skin, heavy with the promise of a storm that hasn't broken yet. To the casual observer, the world makes sense. The Great War is over. The factories are humming, churning out cars and refrigerators. In the living rooms of Flatbush, radios are playing soft crooner ballads. America locks its doors, convinced the monsters are far away across the ocean. But this safety is a thin veneer. A coat of fresh paint over rusting steel. While the suburbs sleep, a different game is being played in the shadows of the city. It is a game of secrets, whispered in the back of diners and passed between strangers in the crush of the morning commute. Enter Jimmy Bozart. He is 13 years old, a delivery boy for the Brooklyn Eagle. Look at his hands, stained perpetually black with the ink of yesterday's headlines. He is the invisible circulatory system of the borough, climbing endless stairs, knowing everyone's schedule. On this particular Saturday, Jimmy is doing what he has done 100 times before. He is collecting. The hallway of the apartment building is dim, lit by a single, flickering bulb that casts long, twitching shadows against the peeling wallpaper. He knocks on the door of apartment 4B. The transaction is mundane. A woman opens the door, wiping her hands on an apron. She counts out the subscription fee. It's a rhythmic, metallic sound. 2 dimes. 3 pennies. And 1 nickel. She drops them into Jimmy's waiting palm. Cold metal against warm, living skin. 5 cents. It's nothing. It's the price of a pack of gum. It's a turnstile fare for the subway. Jimmy closes his fist around the change. He doesn't know it yet, but he is holding a weapon. He is holding the lever that can derail a nuclear superpower. The weight of that nickel is deceptive. It feels like any other coin minted in Philadelphia or Denver. It has the profile of Thomas Jefferson. It has the scratches of use. But gravity pulls on it differently. It carries the density of high treason and the silent screams of betrayed agents. Jimmy turns away from the door. He is just a boy with a pocket full of change, thinking about baseball, or a girl, or lunch. He represents the innocent chaos of the universe. The random variable that no intelligence agency, no matter how sophisticated, can ever predict. He starts down the stairs. 1 step. 2 steps. His sneakers squeak against the linoleum. He jingles the coins in his hand, a nervous tick, a fidget of boredom. Asterisk clink. Clink. Asterisk the sound echoes in the empty stairwell, a lonely, hollow percussion in the quiet afternoon. The city outside continues its breathing. Traffic honks on Fulton Street. A distant siren wails. Everything is normal. Everything is in its place. But in the next few seconds, the laws of probability are about to snap. The timeline is about to fracture. History often doesn't arrive with a bang or a fanfare. It doesn't announce itself with thunder. Sometimes, history is just a clumsy child, tripping over his own feet in a Brooklyn hallway. The balance of the Cold War is currently resting in a sweaty 13-year-old palm. And then, gravity takes over. The grip loosens. The accident begins. It is the moment before the crash, where time seems to stretch and slow down, suspending us in the terrifying beauty of the inevitable. The nickel slips. It happens in a heartbeat. Jimmy's sneaker catches the edge of a step. It is the clumsy ballet of adolescence. The coins launch from his hand, an arc of copper and nickel spinning through the dusty air of the stairwell. They hit the concrete landing with a scattered, chaotic rhythm. Asterisk ping. Clatter. Ping. Asterisk the pennies bounce and roll, seeking the corners of the floor. But one sound is wrong. It doesn't ring like a bell. It hits the ground with a dull, flat thud, like a stone dropping into mud. It is a dead sound, devoid of the musicality of currency. Jimmy scrambles to his knees to gather the spill. He reaches for the nickel. It has split apart. The impact has sheared the face of Thomas Jefferson clean off the tail side. The coin lies there, decapitated by gravity, revealing that its heart is not made of metal. It is hollow. The coin is a lie. Inside the carved-out cavity, nestled like a pearl in an oyster, lies a tiny, translucent square. It is a piece of microfilm, no larger than a confetti flake. It is so small that a breath could blow it away, yet it screams for attention. The boy picks up the halves. He brings them close to his eyes, squinting in the gloom. He sees the microscopic rows of numbers printed on the film. Column after column of digits. 20-25-88-41, this is not the math of a grocery store transaction. It is the arithmetic of treason. A chill that has nothing to do with the drafty hallway runs down his spine. The mundane reality of his Saturday morning has just fractured. He is holding a secret that was never meant for human eyes, certainly not the eyes of a 13-year-old boy in Brooklyn. He tries to fit the pieces back together. They slide perfectly, locking with a precision that speaks of machines, not magic. This isn't a factory defect. Someone spent hours, perhaps days, turning this piece of currency into a vessel. It is a masterpiece of deception. Jimmy stands up. He looks at the door he just left. Suddenly, the hallway feels too long, too quiet. The shadows seem to stretch toward him. He doesn't put the hollow nickel back with the other change. He slides it into a separate pocket, isolating the infection. He walks out into the sunlight, but the light looks different now. It feels artificial. He has peered behind the curtain of the ordinary world and seen the gears turning. He doesn't know who dropped it, or who was supposed to find it. He only knows that the game has begun. The coin travels. It moves from the pocket of a paperboy to the desk of a police detective, and finally, into the sterile purgatory of the FBI laboratory in Washington. Here, men in white coats and thick glasses stare at it under the harsh glare of inspection lamps. They are baffled. The craftsmanship is terrifying. It is a genuine 1948 Jefferson nickel, but the interior has been bored out with a lathe so precise it leaves the walls as thin as a fingernail. The threading is microscopic. It is a piece of engineering that screams state sponsorship. This is not the work of a counterfeiter trying to save a few cents. This is the work of a superpower. The microfilm is extracted and enlarged. The numbers flood the screen. Blocks of 5 digits, endless and chaotic. It is a cipher, cold and impenetrable as a wall of ice. For 4 years, the coin sits in an evidence box. It becomes the hollow nickel case, a ghost story told in the break room. The best cryptanalysts in the free world break their teeth on it. Without the key, the numbers are just noise. The coin mocks them with its silence. While the coin gathers dust, the city of New York continues to breathe. And somewhere in that city, a man is walking. He is the one the coin was meant for. He rides the subway, he paints in the park, he shops at the deli. He is a phantom woven into the fabric of the crowd. But the break doesn't come from brilliance. It comes from weakness. Cut to 1957. Paris. The American Embassy. A man walks in, reeking of stale vodka and fear. His name is Reino Heihainen. Code name, VIC. He is a Soviet agent, and he is crumbling under the weight of his own incompetence. Heihainen is not a mastermind. He is a drunk, a thief of his own agency's funds, and he is terrified of being recalled to Moscow for execution. He wants a deal. He sits in a chair, shaking, and offers to sell the only thing he has left, his secrets. The FBI agents listen skeptically until they bring out the nickel. Hayhanen's eyes widen. He knows it. He knows the mechanism. He knows the code. The lock that held for 4 years suddenly clicks open. He provides the algorithm to decipher the madness. The message on the microfilm is decoded. It is banal, almost insulting. We congratulate you on a safe arrival. Merry Christmas. It is administrative chatter. But within these boring sentences lies the confirmation of a massive, active network operating on American soil. Hayhanen starts to talk, and he doesn't stop. He speaks of dead drops in fences, of signals marked in chalk on lamp posts. He describes a world layered directly on top of the real one. But then he gives them the prize. He gives them the name of his superior. Mark. The colonel. The resident. The man who runs the atomic espionage ring. He describes a man of culture, a photographer, a quiet neighbor. He describes a man who could be anyone's grandfather. The FBI realizes the rot goes deeper than they ever imagined. The investigation shifts gears. It is no longer about a lost coin. It is a manhunt for the mastermind. The agents realize they have been walking past him for a decade. The rabbit hole doesn't just go down, it expands sideways, undermining the very foundations of the city. The paranoia is justified. Every strange mark on a wall, every lost coin, every man reading a newspaper on a bench could be part of the machine. The hollow nickel was just the door handle. Now, the door is wide open, and the FBI is staring into the dark. The trail leads to a cluttered studio on Fulton Street in Brooklyn. Here lives Emil Goldfuss. To the locals, he is a gentle eccentric. A painter who smells of turpentine and old dust. He plays the classical guitar and talks about electronics with a scholarly passion. He is a ghost in a tweed suit. Neighbors love him. They have no idea that the real Emil Goldfuss died as a baby in 1903. The man wearing his name is William Fisher, known to history as Rudolf Abel. He has perfected the art of being memorable enough to be liked, but dull enough to be ignored. But the FBI has finally pierced the veil. The scene shifts to Manhattan. The Hotel Latham. Room 839. It is the night of June 20, 1957. The air in the hallway is heavy with cigarette smoke and adrenaline. Agents are positioned in the shadows, waiting for the sun to rise. At 7:00 a.m., the door swings open. The agents flood the room. There is no gunfight. There is no desperate leap for the window. Abel is lying in bed. He watches them enter with the detached curiosity of a man watching a play he has seen a dozen times before. Notice the stillness. He does not reach for a weapon. He does not bite down on a cyanide capsule. He sits up, blinks, and reaches for his glasses. When they call him Colonel, his pulse doesn't even jump. He accepts the handcuffs as if they were cufflinks. While Abel is taken away, agents descend on the Brooklyn studio. It is no longer an art space, it is a crime scene. They begin to tear it apart, layer by layer. What they find is not just evidence, it is the archaeology of modern espionage. The room is a museum of deception. They find a hollow bolt that looks like rusted scrap, but unscrews to reveal a message chamber. They find pencils with hollow cores. Every innocent object in the room is a potential traitor. The mundane has been weaponized. A shaving brush sits by the sink. The handle unscrews, inside are microfilms. A pair of cufflinks on the dresser are actually containers for soft film. It is a world where nothing is what it seems, where every atom of matter is designed to hide a secret. They find the books. The one-time pads. The cipher keys that connect this dusty room to the Kremlin. These are the vocal cords of the beast. With these pads, Abel could whisper to Moscow from the heart of New York, and no one would hear a sound. The sheer scale of the operation becomes clear. This wasn't just a listening post. This was a nerve center. Maps of defense installations, technical manuals, names. The studio was a tumor growing unnoticed in the body of America for nearly a decade. Back at the hotel, Abel stands in his underwear, stripped of his clothes but not his dignity. He watches the agents bag his life. He is a king in exile, observing the barbarians sacking his palace. He knows the game is over, and he knows he played it well. The theater of shadows has been illuminated by the harsh flashbulbs of the FBI. The mystery of the hollow nickel has culminated in a room full of hollow things. The spy is caught. The ghost has become flesh and blood. Now, the world must look him in the eye. Why? That is the question that echoes through the sterile interrogation rooms and the hushed courtrooms. Why would a man of such intellect, such meticulous skill, dedicate his life to stealing secrets, to undermining the nation that hosted him? Rudolf Abel, or William Fisher, was a man of ideology. He was a devout communist, a true believer in the Soviet cause. He was not driven by greed, unlike his subordinate, Heihanen. He was a soldier in a silent war, fighting for what he believed was a better world, albeit through methods of deception and betrayal. His commitment was absolute, his loyalty unwavering. He became a legend, even among his enemies. The irony is brutal. The greatest spy was not undone by a brilliant counterintelligence operation. He was betrayed by the very human weakness he himself lacked, sloppiness and fear. The hollow nickel, a masterpiece of covert engineering, was lost by a clumsy, drunken subordinate. Heihanen's confession was the unraveling. In court, Abel remained silent. He would not admit guilt, but he would not deny the facts either. He offered no defense, called no witnesses. He simply stood, a monument to defiance, protecting his network with his silence. Even CIA Director Alan Dulles would later remark, "I wish we had 3 or 4 like him in Moscow." The court found him guilty. The sentence was 30 years in prison. He could have faced the electric chair, but his brilliant defense lawyer, James Donovan, argued for mercy. Donovan, with prophetic foresight, told the judge that Abel might one day be useful for an exchange. His words would prove chillingly accurate. But what exactly had been stolen? The scope was devastating. Secrets of America's nascent atomic program, plans for missile deployment, lists of agents within the United States. Abel's network had been operational for nearly a decade, a festering wound in the heart of American security. The hollow nickel case wasn't just about a spy. It became a symbol of American vulnerability. If a single, perfectly crafted coin could carry such immense secrets, if a man could live a double life in plain sight for so long, then no border, no security fence, no safe house was truly impenetrable. The Cold War had just gotten colder. February 10, 1962. The Glienicke Bridge in Berlin. A mist hangs heavy over the Havel River, blurring the lines between East and West. This is where history takes a breath. This is where the world watches. The American pilot Francis Gary Powers, shot down over the Soviet Union, walks towards freedom. And walking towards the east, across the gray, concrete span, is Rudolf Abel. The spy of Brooklyn, the man behind the hollow nickel. He is exchanged, a pawn in the grand chess game of superpowers. He walks into the fog, back to his own kind, leaving America, its prisons, and that infamous coin, behind him. And what of Jimmy? The boy who dropped the nickel? He grew up. He lived an ordinary life. But he carried a secret, a quiet understanding that the world was far more complex, far more dangerous than it appeared. He was the accidental hero, the unwitting instrument of fate. He had lost 5 cents, but in return, he had saved a nation. Today, the hollow nickel rests in a display case at the FBI museum. It is small, worn, and utterly unremarkable to the casual glance. But look closer. It is a monument to deception, a testament to the shadows that stretch across the Cold War landscape. Listen closely to its silence. It does not ring. That dull thud, that lack of a chime, is the sound of a crack in the veneer of reality. It is a reminder that the biggest secrets are often hidden in the smallest details, and that sometimes, the fate of empires can hinge on the clumsy fumble of a child. The old buildings on Fulton Street might be gone. The neighborhoods might have changed. But the echo of that single, shattered coin, the ripple it sent through the world, continues to reverberate. It is a haunting melody in the lyrical noir of Cold War espionage, a whisper of how deeply the lies were buried beneath the surface.